The Evolution of Bitcoin Value and Why It Matters, by Dub5. Every now and then, I come across the view that Bitcoin's value should not and does not matter. The perspective is grounded in and focused on the revolutionary potential of Bitcoin and its ability to inevitably replace the ever-fading fiat system. Bitcoin fixes this, is the chant we hear. Although this view is pure and ideal in nature, it definitely does not define the common exposure nor sentiment that is broadcasted throughout the current media space. Besides the OG adopters in the early years of Bitcoin, the rest of humanity had no idea that Bitcoin existed, nor even carried a fiat-related value. This has largely changed as Bitcoin is now frequently discussed and spotlighted on mainstream media, finance talk shows, and related podcasts. Every twitch of the stock market is quickly panned to compare and contrast against the most recent Bitcoin price action, where talk show hosts hope to glean a sense of narrative or causal relationship between the two. Bitcoin price discovery is and continues to be important. I would even argue that the price is a major indicator of adoption and acceptance in the eye of humanity. I believe Bitcoin succeeds strongly because of its appeal to human greed as a launch point. Greed, often seen as a bane of humanity, continues to exist as part of human nature. Even at the risk of being called out and ostracized, greed, when navigated by our ape-like ancestors, resulted in huge advantages over the ape collective, separating those that will survive a harsh winter versus those that don't. When this dynamic changed from benefiting the individual to becoming beneficial to the community, sentiment shifted. Imagine convincing your fellow apes to allow you to continue to maintain your advantage while you donate a percentage of your wealth to the benefit of the tribe, or better yet, promise to show them ways to earn wealth themselves. I can imagine at some point when the wealthy, with their resources depleting, quickly decided to rally their tribesmen to work together to seek and conquer new resources. Win the war, split the spoils, and enslave the opposition. Lose the war. Well then, too bad for those apes. Try again next time. Humanity arguably hasn't changed one bit in terms of greed, and it remains in a constant state of battle between good versus evil, having too little versus having too much, apparent or hidden. This is where, by design or by luck, Satoshi's creation succeeds in taking advantage of human greed and leverages it to win monetary battles and possibly even do good for humanity at large. We could easily call Bitcoin a Ponzi if it wasn't for the fact that every participant can actually mine their own Bitcoins using their computer at home. In fact, the more individuals mine Bitcoin for themselves, the stronger the Bitcoin network becomes. And this is precisely how Bitcoin started, being mined on home computers by like-minded individuals with a strong belief in the power of global money. Money that cannot be debased due to a fixed supply, a system that has rules without rulers, a currency that could be sent anywhere in the world over the internet. Of course, this speaks nothing to the 99% of the rest of the world that are living in poverty, under the control of authoritarian regimes, enslaved, and so on. Bitcoin wasn't made for the poorest folks, as those folks have enough trouble simply trying to survive day to day, that they would never have the time nor bother to study Bitcoin, let alone have access to electricity, a computer, or access to the internet. Arguably, Bitcoin isn't for the extremely wealthy and powerful elite that form the top 1% of the 1% in the world. These people already have more than what they need, and what they crave and desire can't be bought, as some may claim. So this leaves the middle class that exists. The ones that are somewhat educated don't have to worry about their immediate safety or survivability, and actually have time to contemplate ideals. The same ones that are dreaming of ways to make it rich so that they too can enjoy life to their fullest definitions. It is these folks that Bitcoin attracts, and it is through their greed that Bitcoin expands. Over time, what started off as greed turns into a more nuanced understanding of the immediate world we live in, where it is understood that the advancement of science perpetuates the good of humanity, and ironically, the understanding that science has nothing to do with the monetary system that we all depend on. The historically repeating fiat system that allows us all to live and trade time for value is upheld by misdirection, seances, and false promises, the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. While the middle class slowly educates themselves and allows the Bitcoin mind virus to permeate their mind space, where does this leave the poor? How will they buy or produce it without upfront investment? This is where the middle class has to popularize the use of Bitcoin for gig economies and paying for labor. The middle class will continue to store their wealth in Bitcoin, forming an ever higher price floor, and thus helping the poor adopt, earn, and spend it, and ultimately realize the benefit of saving in Bitcoin as well. With understanding the true potential of Bitcoin and its intended role, brings with it the glimmer of hope that humanity sorely needs. Perhaps one day there will be enough middle-class people with enough understanding of Bitcoin that they can drive the change they want to see. Help those that are unable to help themselves, those that were born into a life they did not choose. Perhaps finally we can start realizing the things we aspired to be. Better human beings. Bitcoin is hope. Without the price of Bitcoin, those of us that brushed it off in the past would not have taken a second or third look at it again if the price did not rise far beyond our imaginations. And there we have it, from greed to hope. The way we value Bitcoin changes over time. The longer we hold on to it, the greater its value becomes, and the less we are willing to part with it, unless it is truly worth it. Until next time.